Well, welcome to another episode of Rimshots with Sean right here on the Rock Rage Radio Network. It's been, you know what, enough of these that I'm starting to get that no tongue twisters anymore. But I am here with another friend of mine that I'm humbled to meet these folks all the time. Chris Scott from the Summit, the band, and I want to say welcome, my friend. How are you?
Oh, thanks, Sean. Doing great, man. Doing great.
So, tell me a little bit about the band. You guys are working with Gina. I've done a couple projects with Gina. She's fantastic, total pro. She introduced me to you. So tell me about the summit.
Yeah, so love Gina Giuliano. She's awesome. She's amazing. We've been working on and off with her for probably the last 2 or 3 years. I'd say it's more like 3 years. I was doing a solo project called The Quilts, and we had a song that kind of hit the market pretty hard. And yeah, we found her through a mutual producer friend of ours, and Chuck Caucasian. And Chuck had done some production work for us out of his studios, Pearl Studios in Detroit. And yeah, that's how we met Gina. But the summit, we've been together for God, we've been me and Mike Hennell, the band started back in 2016, and our first introduction into us starting the band was being thrown out on a tour with a band called ZZ Top pretty quickly. So we
It doesn't
jumped on.
suck.
Yeah, it's not too shabby. It works, but yeah, jumped out with those boys, and it's been rock and roll heaven ever since, man. We've got kind of that 70s, 60s, 70s rock and roll swagger to us. And I think that's why I like this band, because we can just write the kind of music that our parents listen to. So dig it.
Love it, love it. Before we go any further, I'm not going to say what your last name is that you normally use because we got to protect you at hotel rooms and stuff if you use it. But um, you and I have a mutual admiration for a show called The Sopranos.
Yeah,
And you said you have a connection, and the connection is
I do have a connection. So my family, my real last name has a connection to the show. And if you know Tony Soprano's therapist's last name, you will figure out my actual last name. So a little scavenger hunt for the fans out there, The Sopranos.
man. And now all this anonymous, staying at hotels across the country, man, they're going to find you now. It's going to be like, what are you going to do, right?
They already do, man. They already do. I'll tell you what. And usually it's not because of me. Usually it's because of my drummer. But yeah, no, we've got plenty of hotel road stories that we can share. If it's rated higher than R, we can probably go there. So yeah.
Awesome. So you guys, you've been going for a while now. I'd be interested to kind of chat with you and get your take on, everybody is trying to figure out how you build the better beast in today's environment. I mean, like it's tough for the independent musician. It's tough out there streaming, all those things. So what is the strategy you guys have been deploying to try to make your career work?
It's a great question. For us, it's always been about brand awareness, not band awareness. Our band awareness is important too, but brand awareness and just owning your craft, right? The state of the industry right now, where it's so oversaturated, and there's so much that's out there right now. And I think the secret to our success has always just been true to what we do, how we write. We're fearless. I think that's the one thing that I always tell young kids is that are starting bands. Don't feel like you have to appease somebody that can come into your life and say, hey, I can make you $1 million overnight. Typically that doesn't last, right, in this industry. So I just tell people to be unique, be yourself. Be fearless in your writing, be fearless in your craft. And I think that I've done that throughout my career. I've been through plenty of plateaus and peaks and valleys and everything else. That there's ups and downs. Like I said, no craft is simple, right? But as long as you can call it your own craft and you can be unique and you can be original, I think that's the piece of longevity of being happy in this industry in music. And I'm happy right now, man. I'm happy. I'm very happy.
You bring up a great point because oftentimes, and I remember when I first got in the business, it seems like a long time ago, everybody would coach you to do a certain thing. This is the way it's got to go, and you got to look this way, and you got to play this way, and now it seems like everything's do it yourself. But it's gone so far, I guess, over the other way in some cases because people are like, "Oh, I'll just Google the answer," or "I'll just," nobody wants to go back to people that have done it and take advice from them.
Right.
I'd be interested to get your take on that. Do you guys have mentors that you use that you're bouncing ideas off of on a regular basis? What do you guys do?
Absolutely. I think you hit it. I think today's generation is so dependent on social media, number one, right? And so you get lost. I think that's the other thing is society seems to have a fear of one-on-one interpersonal communication too. So, and I grew up in the aspect of if you want something done, communicate, go and do it, right? Network, right? Be real human beings, right? So I think for us, yes, to a point of, I feel like I'm a mentor and a coach to a lot of younger kids, trying to teach them the ways of we'll put the phone down for a minute, right? Let's have a conversation about music. Let's do this. For us, I think it's the relationships that we built with inside the industry of the actual artist. Like I said, I mentioned, ZZ Top. We've been out with bands like ZZ Top, REO Speedwagon, Cheap Trick, Collective Soul, Blues Traveler, Kenny Wayne Shepherd. These are I am name dropping, but it's not just about those bands that we get to perform with. It's about the relationships and the friendships that you form within those bands. And those are all bands I look up to. Some of them are my peers that have made it a little bit bigger than me, right? But I'll use Collective Soul as an example. I grew up in the '90s listening to Collective Soul, right? I was into grunge and post grunge, and I loved Collective Soul, loved Ed's songwriting. Will Turpin, bass player, one of the founding members of the band. A lot of people don't realize, the Collective Soul started out of Will Turpin's dad's studio in Atlanta, Georgia, and we've gone out. We've been blessed to go out over the years and perform with them. Well, fast forward, Will Turpin's one of my best friends. He's one of our collective band's great friends, and he's also the producer on our next record, right? So it's about the friendships, it's about the genuine connections, and that's the biggest advice I can give to people nowadays: is have the conversations, right? You know, find mentors that care about your craft too, right? And typically those are the artists. If you can get in with the artists, they've been where you're at, right? So they know whether they're legacy artists or modern day artists. It doesn't matter. They've been where you're at. So I think it's just networking, man. Networking with people on a, again, on a human level, not Google, I think helps.
Well, it's like we rehearse this, Chris, because a big part of my podcast, I always talk about network, and you said name dropping, and I don't think it's name dropping because your network is what your network is, right? And you work really hard to build it. You work really hard to build trust with that network, and then you use it for yourself, but you also use it for other people. So, I mean, I think, I don't think this is just me. I mean, I don't get a sense you feel bad about it, but I mean, I don't think you should feel bad about quote unquote name dropping because those are people that you've collected as mentors and friends and whatever. And obviously they respect you and you respect them. So I think you should be proud of that.
Absolutely. And I am. And I think and I don't look at these artists being an artist, when you start to look at these people as friends and you start to look at these people as more than just peers. Yeah, they're peers, they're mentors, Will being our producer, he's coached us through, just making just a killer rock and roll album. Every time I see Will, it's a friendship. It's how's the family, it's how the kids, it never starts off with business, right? And that's where you've got kind of a different thing going, right? And it's special. It's good.
Absolutely. I'm going on. It's funny because I was talking to somebody the other day about the success rate of podcasts, and the stats are actually kind of mind numbing. Very few make it past 4 episodes, and very few make it past a month. I'm 4 years in, and you will be number 592 when it goes live. Think about
Wow.
that for a second. Or depending upon how we delay it, maybe you're 600. I don't know. But one of the things that I've always found is that when you treat these people, well, first off, they're people, right?
Right.
You grow up listening to them,
Right.
but most of them are just amazing people that are they're like buds, right? So they just happen to have really cool jobs, and
Right.
but the real good ones you can ask for advice, and they're pretty open to giving you advice. Do you find that with your network?
I do. I think with our close network, absolutely. Are there other people out there that, we've met and we've been associated with, and you kind of put your head down at the end of that run or tour or performance. You're like, man, really was hoping for something better. Man, really wish that person wasn't a dick. Yeah, you've run across people like that, right? But not in our network. Our network is very synonymous with, I think, what you just said. We feel very comfortable, and even if it's not the artists themselves, the crews, right? The producers,
Yep.
the TMs, yeah, you create this bond. So I think our network is close, and we appreciate that a lot.
That's awesome. So for my viewers, that when I say the Summit and
Mhm.
they go, what do they sound like? Give me, a Cole's notes on who they are. If one of my viewers was to ask you about the Summit, what would you tell them?
So it's interesting. So, we consider ourselves a melting pot, right? Of just rock and roll. Everything from 60s to 70s rock and roll all the way through grunge, right? We have been recently compared to, I heard a good one the other day. It was, well, if the Cult had a love child with the Black Crows and also could go back and with a little bit of the Rolling Stones, that would be you. And I'm like, cool, awesome. Three of my favorite bands. So I'm not going to complain. But yeah, I think it's um, I don't want to call it Americana rock and roll because we're not Americana in that sense. We're an American rock band, and Bad Company's another band, right? They're not an American rock band, but they really kind of, when they came to the States, Paul Rodgers is one of my favorite singers of all times. You know, they just took over this image of, man, that's just rock and roll. That's cars and talking about this and that. And that. It's cool, right? And so I think Bob Seger comes to mind. That kind of 70s gritty rock and roll is really what I think we relate to, but it has a groove to it. That's where I think we get a little bit of the Crows influence, the Black Crows influence too. So yeah, it's just classic rock and roll, man. And I think that's what it is.
I'm glad I asked that question because those are all the kind of the influences that I was hearing. Because I grew up. I'm a Kiss fan, AC/DC, Van Halen, all that stuff. I did get into some of the English stuff and what have you. But everything that you mentioned, I heard in your tunes, which is very cool. Um, in terms of what you guys have coming up, what's going on for the rest of the summer and into the fall?
Yeah, so we are excited to announce, and we'll kind of give you the exclusive. Actually, you're the first interview I've done since we internally have announced this. We are our new album, our new record, produced by Will Turpin of Collective Soul at Real to Real Studios and Real People Music, will drop November 1st. So we are
Very
dropping
cool.
it everywhere digitally, but we're also dropping a vinyl. Third Band Records is pressing the vinyl, so we will have the vinyl out November 1st as well. Really excited about it. The song, it's 10 tracks of just tasty rock and roll, man. I'm so excited. Will did an amazing job in the production. It's raw, it's real, it's storytelling. Extremely excited for that. So the rest of the summer is starting that campaign, and then we're going to hit the road again late September and be on the road. Can't announce who we're going to be on the road with because I've been sworn to secrecy until they announce it. But they, meaning the powers that be, but we will be out with some familiar friends this fall, starting the end of September through really late November. So gearing up for a tour, gearing up for the record release.
That's
Yep.
awesome. And you know what? Vinyl, I personally don't think it never lost its coolness, but vinyl is cool again. I mean, it's just, there's nothing like listening to a vinyl record, man. The crackle of the needle on there, and it's just so cool and warm, right?
Agree. And we kind of, it's funny, we were talking about the production of the record and kind of how we wanted to do it. And we were, because vinyl is the way to listen to music. I mean, that's the way I grew up. I grew up listening to all my dad's records. I mean, that was me. It's the way I was introduced to music. But yeah, it's gonna have that feel. It's gonna have that quality to it. And I'll tell you what, it's what, we look at, what we sell and what is sold at just merch booths on the road, right? And vinyl is usually the number one thing people are going and grabbing, merch tables, right? Before the
Absolutely.
t-shirt posters, they're grabbing vinyl now, right? So
Absolutely. Well, and it's funny because kids today you hear, oh my God, like this 10-year-old is just a phenomenal. Well, he should be because I'm a drummer, right? And I saw a video the other day of Simon Phillips, and I swear to God, he had 22 different camera angles on him. I mean, if he scratched his armpit, you were going to get the proper angle, right? Where back when I was learning to play, man, you had to put as many quarters as you could on the arm of the record player to slow it down to hear what was going on, right? So that's super cool stuff.
yeah,
Where are my viewers going to find out about you guys? Where are they going to find you? Where are they going to get up to date on what you got going on? All that good stuff.
best place to go is the summitband.com. It's the summitband.com altogether. Socials, Facebook at the summit. Instagram is the underscore summit underscore band. But the best place, it has links to everywhere. You can find us on Spotify, We're on every single digital streaming service. Just go to our website, thesummitband.com. You can find us all from there.
Chris Scott, The Summit. Thank you for doing this, my friend.
Absolutely, brother. Appreciate you.
Have a great Thursday, man. You guys got a heat wave going on down there, by the way?
Say it again.
You got a heat wave going on down there right now?
It actually cooled down a little bit. It cooled down a little bit. Today is not as bad. The last couple of days, I think the heat index has been over 100. It's been horrible. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been crazy everywhere. I'm starting to actually buy into this global warming thing, but that's another topic for another day. So we'll talk to you later, my friend.
Dude, we'll talk soon, man. All right. Peace.